Welcome to They Tried to Bury Us. My name is Tamer Kattan. I'll be your host. I'm a comedian, a writer, and an actor. I was born in Egypt and moved to America when I was just a kid, so I'm very proud of being an immigrant. And ever since I started doing comedy, I've met more and more immigrants and I found more and more amazing stories, and that's what this podcast is all about. Each week I'm going to have a new guest. They're going to sit down and share with us their American origin stories, and we're going to get to know each other better, and we're going to find out that we're all just the same. So tune in each week, tell every single person you know, and thanks for listening. Hi guys, welcome to another episode of They Tried to Bury Us. I'm Tamer Kattan, and with me as always is my co-host,
Coyote.
Hi Mom.
How are you?
How are you?
Very well today.
Hey, thank you for sending. We got a bunch of we got a nice email from some listeners.
Yeah, Natalie Lopez.
Natalie Lopez.
Lopez.
Or lupus.
Yeah.
Which is an autoimmune disease.
Yeah. Yeah. Remember,
see, this is how I get hate email.
You used to have a girlfriend. She has this disease, and I was worried.
She did, yeah.
Yeah, because
I
I want to see
lupus.
my grandchildren, and they say very hard for her to get pregnant. But you know what?
It's a good way to treat people
it.
with diseases.
Yeah,
Just say,
no.
get out of my son's life.
No. Some people, they have it and they have kids.
Of
They
course.
updated now.
Of course. Seal
very
had.
good.
Didn't
Yeah.
Seal have lupus?
Yeah.
Seal the singer?
So we love you,
and
Natalie.
he married a supermodel.
Who's that? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whoa.
But thank you, Natalie, for your message.
Thank you
I
so
read
much,
it.
yeah.
It was very sweet.
And thank you, all of you guys, for listening and for all the reviews and all the positive comments and words of encouragement. We're stoked to have you guys, and we're stoked that the podcast is growing. And that being said, we just got accepted into the Women in Comedy Festival sponsored by HBO in Boston. Thank you very much for a round of applause.
And it's good.
My mom and I are going to be performing at the Comedy Studio in Cambridge during the Women in Comedy Festival on May 4th. So please come out and see us live. And we have a really special guest I can't announce yet, but I'm going to announce her. She's going to be great. I'm really excited for you to meet her.
Okay.
But in the meantime, I want you to meet our guest today, a new friend that we just had a great conversation outside. He is an ex-radio guy, radio producer, and a Mexican hard rock station, which is so cool. And also a really great fine artist. I got to see some of your work, and I was really impressed.
Thank you so much.
Sure. So everybody, welcome to the podcast, Alan Angelus.
Oh, wow. Hey.
Can I tell you how
for
cool
myself.
your name is? Alan Angelus?
Please do tell. I'm very
It's-
humble.
Los Angeles, and your name is Alan Angeles. Let's say it the right
Yeah.
way. Right? Angeles. Angels. And Alan Angeles sounds like a name of a character in a Tarantino movie about
Oh
LA.
my God, you just got me with that. That's like one of my top 3 favorite
Really?
writers. Yeah.
It's such a cool name. And dude, we connected right away. We hit it off right away. We had a
Yes.
mutual friend, and I think we have a lot in common. We both immigrated to America around the same
I was gonna
age.
say shout out to Frank.
Shout out to Frank
That's
Streifler.
dope. Thank you so much.
No, Frank Streifler is my German friend.
Oh, Stratford. Frank Trainer.
Frank Trainer. Sorry, Frank Trainer. Frank Trainer is a great comedian and a Moth Grand Slam winner who's now living in Seattle. Shout out to you, Frank, and we're going to come visit you in Seattle soon. I hope you're great, and thanks for introducing me to Alan.
Thank you so much, my man.
So now let's get started, Alan. So here's the thing that I thought was so interesting. You and I both immigrated to the States.
Yes.
Kind of the same age. You immigrated from Mexico, right?
Mexico City, originally. Yeah.
Oh, wow, Mexico City.
Specifically, because I know when people say what part of Mexico, and you got to be specific. That's just-
Sure,
Yeah.
it's a big country with lots of different personalities from the different regions and stuff. And Mexico City is, I visited Mexico City, and I
Wow.
remember that I had the stereotype in my head of like, okay, Mexico, just all of Mexico looks like Tijuana.
Yeah.
That's what I thought, because I grew up in California and I visited Tijuana as a young kid, and I never saw any other part of Mexico on TV
Yeah.
or in movies. And then I went to Mexico City and I'm like, this is Europe.
No way.
It felt like there's this huge square. It felt really European. Everybody was walking around in Prada and Gucci. And I was like, what is this? And at the time, they had those green Volkswagen bus taxis.
Yes.
And
You still see those
or
sometimes.
Volkswagen Bug. and I saw so many blonde-haired women.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait, this is such a different a different image of Mexico than the one I've been fed.
The discrepancy of people there is just like you see either very rich or very poor.
Yeah.
It's one of those places.
No
but
middle.
Similar to Egypt.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh well.
Yeah.
One more thing to add to our list of what we get along.
Yeah. So you were in Mexico City,
Mhm.
and so how old were you when you came? You said.
I came here when I was 9 years old.
Okay, so what was it like in Mexico City? How many brothers and sisters did you have? Tell me about the family in Mexico
So
City.
we were you can call it a lower working class of Mexico. We had a store. We had a lot. It's me and three other brothers.
What kind of store?
Like groceries,
Oh, cool.
produce, things like that. So we had a little community economy sort of a thing.
Yeah.
And but Mexico, we have a lot of toxic leaders, and so
Sure.
thanks to them, we had that free trade agreement where we let big corporations from other countries, especially Canada and U.S., come to Mexico. So I think that sort of also affected
And it
our
hurt the local
of
economy. Oh
course.
my gosh. Oh my God. You don't think about the impact of some of these things.
Yeah, so I
People are like,
didn't
oh, they're
see that.
bringing work to Mexico,
I
but they're
didn't
also
see that.
disrupting the local economy.
Exactly. So little stores like my mom and pops, we got screwed. So we
Wow.
had no options in a way. So that's a
Wow.
big reason also why
Yeah.
we had to my mom decided to make the move because we just lost everything pretty much.
Wow. So how old were you when you first started hearing discussions about moving to America? And what was the plan?
Well, I can relate things to stories and what I saw on TV.
Sure.
Not per se how old I was, but when Princess Diana passed away, through
Uh-huh.
all that not celebration, but like the all that televised,
Sure, all the press.
all the
Yeah.
press.
My mom literally has a whole photo album filled because
All magazine, I collected.
she collected everything because
about
she was
her.
such a huge Princess Diana fan.
My mom loved her, and so in those times it felt very negative. Even though the '90s they tend to be very positive and whatnot because
Yeah.
people just like to call it the Clinton years. They're very nice, positive, and whatnot. But in Mexico, we saw a lot of it was the decline of Mexico
Wow.
because of the corruption that was going on, and so we saw Princess Diana and all this stuff. It was kind of like a signal for my mom to like, I need to get my kids out of this trouble.
Wow.
It's just gonna get worse.
Yeah.
And so I think it was like around '97 when she started saying frills that she needed to get out of Mexico.
Yeah. And did your dad agree?
My dad, he actually came before her,
Hmm.
and he didn't have success, or he didn't reach the success that he wanted, and he just decided to go back. And again, I respect that, but someone like my mom, that's like no option.
Yeah.
So
It
You
sounds
know,
very similar to
Did
my
you
mom and
pay
dad.
attention? Most the people they have interview with us here, they say their mom
Was
she's
the strength.
initiation to do the
The initiator.
Yeah,
she,
definitely.
yeah.
I mean, women, they're nurturers.
Yeah.
It's in their blood, and
they
growing
can
with-
feel it.
And
growing
you know
with
what's
a mom.
funny? I'll say this other thing too that's really interesting. A lot of times men talk about strength through the definition of male strength instead of female strength. I think men are strong the way cavemen were strong. We can be really strong in a sprint. We can be like one punch, two punches, right?
Physically, you're speaking of.
Yeah, but women can handle a lot of pain over a long period of time, or they're tougher over longer periods of time, whether it's because of having babies or whatever it is. But it seems like men really wimp out, and women can keep going.
Well, I think
It's not wimp out. It's just they don't have the patience like women.
that's a good point because
the patience.
I-
like
Or the
women,
endurance.
Yeah.
you can tell me if
Right.
I'm wrong, but I think women just have a better understanding of emotions.
Yeah.
Although
Yeah, sure.
even though in media we put it like, oh, they're generally crazy and whatnot.
Yeah.
They are more aware of their senses, their feelings, and I
Yeah.
think men what we have because obviously as males we like to I guess fight each other off and
100%.
and we don't
We're
like to be
told.
honest with ourselves.
We're told boys don't cry.
Yeah.
Right? And I heard this crazy thing where Jerry told me this, where the only time men share intimate conversations with each other is when they're sitting side by side, never face to face.
Wow.
So while they're fishing or while they're sitting at a bar.
When they're peeing.
Or while they're peeing. Exactly.
Very
when we're
intimate.
side to side, when we're not looking at each other all the way, we can
Yeah.
And it's like women are ahead of us in that sense
Yeah.
because they have been allowed to, like they grew up with impossible physical standards and we grew up with impossible emotional standards.
Exactly. And if we can just, again, be honest with ourselves and be okay that women are good in certain things and men are good in
Yes.
certain things.
Exactly.
We can coexist instead of having this big fight war.
Exactly.
of,
We're here
you
to
know, we're better than you and you're better than me. And
we
No,
complement
that's-
each other.
That's why they complete the marriage. It has to complete each other. You can have father raise the kids alone or mom raise the kids alone. Sometimes you can, but it's good to balance if the two together because they balance.
Yeah, it's like having an
Yeah.
argument about what's better, French fries or ketchup.
Yeah.
It's like, no, dummy, they're better together.
I was gonna say I would just agree with her because she has had a family. You know, definitely know more than I do.
Yeah.
So, but I was gonna say, like, as me, my humble opinion is that you should be complete,
Yeah.
Yeah,
so you can make that step to be happy with someone else.
yeah.
I could be wrong. I
Yeah.
don't know because I don't have a
No,
perfect
I think you're right.
relationship.
I think
but-
that makes perfect sense. You know, you should be a complete person before you and that way, if you're not, then you don't know who you really are yet.
Yeah, and you put this burden on
Yeah.
someone.
Yeah.
I think at the end of the day, it's not the best thing to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now you're a kid in Mexico City. Your mom's talking about moving to
Moving out, yeah.
America. Your dad had already gone and came back.
Yeah, and he well, the thing is that my dad didn't have family here, and so he was very like a fish out of the water.
Sure.
And so at least my mom had my uncles and some
Oh, okay.
kind of help, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I understand that, and my dad was just like, it's crazy, it's kind of hard, and he didn't know the language, so it's
Sure.
twice as hard, and I can understand his like frustration of going back. And
Sure.
How that must be very defeating for a
Well,
guy.
of course, but I mean, when you're in Mexico City and now you're thinking about coming to America, what kind of thoughts did you have and imagery did you have in your head from Mexico City?
Well, the thing is that I grew up. See, this is the thing. I grew up in Mexico, but I grew up with American mentality, if you will.
Yeah.
Watching a lot of Hollywood movies,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know, Tarantino movies. So I always had this vision of America that is amazing, LA, and don't get me wrong, I love LA, but
Yeah.
you know, we glamorize it,
Yeah.
you know, to the 150%. You know?
Totally.
Yeah.
So I had a very positive idea, outlook of you know my future and whatnot, but at the same time, as an immigrant, I didn't know that
Yeah.
that it was gonna be tough actually.
Well, it's almost like our country is a celebrity country.
Yeah.
And like, if you only judge Charlie Sheen by his movies,
Yeah.
you'd be like, he's the best.
Great
But
example.
if you got to see his real life, you're like, oh my God, there's some pretty bad streets on Charlie Sheenville. You know what I mean?
Who wouldn't?
But
Charlie Sheen.
also when you watch something, you see everything the negative, not the positive.
Yeah, or
You know?
it could be both ways because I did see a lot of movies that you know, obviously they depict certain plays because obviously it's probably made in America. They always depict the American place as the best place, and
Yeah.
it's a form of, now that I am sort of understanding things, it's a form of propaganda in a way, you know.
Sure. Yeah. It's funny because everybody always thinks about propaganda as only negative, but there's positive propaganda
Yeah,
too.
of course.
Yeah,
like tourist
absolutely.
propaganda, you know, like
Yeah.
I saw that with Mexico, how, you know, we got this culture, come over here and see what you can gain out of it. So
Yeah. It's very profitable to quote unquote be number one culturally.
So
you know,
listen
like,
to this podcast. It can be number one.
but it's true, you know, a lot of times people talk about China's a superpower and America's a superpower and that technically China's bigger. And they're right, it is. And so is India. We haven't been number one in a long time.
Jesus.
But if you look at our movies and our TV and who dominates the culture
Yeah.
or the screens that the world watches,
Yeah.
we dominate that.
Like if you have that mentality of colonizing and whatnot, I'm not trying to conspire here, but it's like America's everywhere. Wherever you
Yeah.
go, they know who's Michael Jackson, they know who's Madonna,
Yeah.
they know some may know who's Quentin Tarantino, and so you grow up in the mentality of an American kid.
Yeah,
you
sure.
know? Or sort of in those aspects.
Yeah,
you know?
you've been exposed to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. So where did you guys So when you started leaving Mexico to come to America, what was that process like, and where did you guys end up?
I wish I can say. Oh, meaning like coming in or.
Yeah, when you came from Mexico to America.
Oh, okay. So I can say it's like a movie in a way. Everything I see, I think of movies. That's in my mind. I think of it like a movie. Like it was my uncle who brought us here. I think my mom asked him, please bring him. They're on your hands, and so
Wow.
he got one of these guys, coyotes. They call the
Coyotes,
smugglers.
yeah,
Smugglers.
yeah,
You know?
yeah.
And we paid. My mom paid, and so it was me, my older brother, and my grandma that we were crossing for the first time.
Wow.
And in one of these situations, we stayed at the coyote's house
Yeah.
for like a couple days, and then they trained us to say things like, "Oh, so when you go in this line, you're gonna say this, this, and this, and this."
Yeah.
And if you forget, you're screwed. Like you get caught by the police and migration and office and all this stuff. So point is, to make the story short, my brother and grandma were in a different group of people, of migrants who crossed in the line and going to TJ between. And I was in another group. And my group, one of the guys was very nervous. He was like, I don't want to say the word, but he was very nervous.
Yeah.
And the officer noticed that something's going on, something's fishy. And to this day, I still remember where I had to do and what I had to like tell the officer.
Wow. Yeah.
And supposedly I had
You still remember
Yeah.
the words that the coyote told you to
Yeah.
say in line. Wow.
it's supposedly I have a sister, an older sister,
Yeah.
that works at this jeweler. The only thing I did forget was the street, but I go here and I'm gonna buy Jack in the Box. That they gave me $10. To me, I was like, oh my god, I have $10. So screw this, my life is done, So I was gonna tell them that I was gonna get lunch for my sister, and that was the story.
Yeah.
But the guy in front of me got so nervous, and so they just stopped the whole line, and they put us in the in a room, and until like bunch of hours later, they were like, dude, there's a kid in that group of people. I was gonna go to a detention center with
Wow.
adults.
So when that guy was nervous in line, they assumed
just
that you were
assumed.
with him?
Yeah, they assumed the whole. They noticed that they were
Whole
like
line.
these. Yeah,
They just took
these
the whole
guys
line
are
out.
all like lying and stuff.
Oh, wow.
So we stayed there for a couple hours. I still remember it was a Saturday.
Yeah.
And in Mexico,
And you're like 9 years old at this point?
yeah.
Wow. Okay.
That's scary.
That is scary.
And I still
yeah.
remember that in the TV what was playing. There was like a Power Rangers movie playing.
No
and I was
way.
like eating lunch
In the
know,
detention
in
center.
jail. Yeah.
Wow.
And one of the ladies, again, nurture women. I love it. She was like, "Oh my God, you look very hungry." She gave me some of her lunch,
Aw.
and I was
Aw.
like, "Wow,
Nice.
that's." So there's hardened people. It's
Yeah,
just that they're
this is
doing a job.
America.
Yeah,
It
They're
yeah.
doing a
used to
job
be.
sometimes, So
Sure.
and I stayed in TJ for a couple weeks in a foster home with a bunch of kids.
Wow. Wow.
And because I was the kid with family, I got my ass kicked by
Oh,
all the foster kids.
Wow. So now they separated you guys from the line.
Yeah.
Said you can't go in yet. Did they reason why they put you in a foster home temporarily is to
They couldn't find
Your
any
grandmother.
information or
they
anything.
couldn't. Oh, so they wanted to figure out who
Yeah,
you were and who
yeah,
you were
yeah.
connected with, and
They were like, "Who's your dad? Where's he from?" And like, I was just like, I don't even know my address at this point. I'm just like crapping on my pants.
wow, wow.
And they figured it out. I was just like, my house looks like this, and this. It's in Mexico, blah, blah, blah. And they got him like, a couple weeks later.
They found your family.
My dad, yeah, he had to
Oh,
go. He was
wow.
in Mexico State. He was in another state. He
So
had
they
to fly.
brought
to-
your dad to come in to get you.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And where is your grandmother and your brother?
My brother,
They
they were already with my mother.
Oh, so they
They were already
they made it across.
Yeah, and what pissed me off is that my brother told me like, "Oh, dude, when I crossed, it was so fun. Like, my
Oh my
uncle
God.
took me to Six Flags, and we were having fun." And I was just like, "Screw you! I was dying
Yeah.
with foster kids, like-
Wow. Wow.
But it's one of those stories that again, like some people might see like, "Oh, poor kid," and like, yeah, it sucks to be in that situation, but
Yeah.
also to empower other kids and when you're given these situations, you can't give up.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
can't
of
give
course
up hope.
not.
And
And then, so now you're back in Mexico with your dad, and everybody else made it across.
Yeah.
How did you eventually get to America?
so eventually, my dad told me, "Okay, so we're gonna get this coyote, right?
Another coyote.
Another coyote, yeah, because they're up to 3 for 2 for 5 or something, And but this one, it was a very attractive young lady,
Mm.
and I was gonna go through the car, like through the streets. And what happened is that we would go to midnight or very late through, and I was already asleep.
Oh, wow.
And so she was very attractive, and so she can elude the security guards, and I just went. I don't remember what happened there.
You know what's so funny? I have a friend who's a magician.
Oof.
And he talked about he goes, why do you think magicians always have beautiful assistants?
Yes.
And he goes, because beauty is distracting.
Exactly.
While they're looking at her, I'm pulling something out of my sleeve.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, that makes a lot of sense. Wow, that sounds like the
So-
top of the top coyote to use a hot lady.
So you want to get attractive young lady too, and you need also a lady that's willing to do crazy stuff like smuggling people.
Sure.
That's when I've learned really that anyone can do evil. like.
Or
It's fair.
whatever.
Or
It's
good,
funny
I don't
because
know.
like what is good and evil?
Exactly.
Like we have that thing that's in the news now. About what's that lady that got arrested for falsifying the college admissions papers?
Oh
Yeah.
Jesus!
Right.
True.
Like she did that, and how is that any different than someone trying to falsify papers to give their kids an opportunity to have a better life?
Yeah.
Well,
That's.
I can see the discrepancy though.
I mean, there's. Well, what do you see as the difference?
Because for ones they already like, and this is just me simplistically. I could be
Sure.
wrong. I don't want to say this. I'm right.
Yeah.
But it's someone who's rich who wants to keep. And I get it. I totally see your point. Keep giving their kids that good life.
Yeah.
But when you're by your way in, like we're not asking to like I'll buy my way in to get my citizenship. If I have to learn what I have to learn and go through, fine, I'll do it. Just give me the opportunity.
Give me the opportunity.
They got the opportunity to take tests.
100%.
And still they cheated.
100%.
So that's what I'm
You're
like,
right. She's
that's
way worse.
You know what I mean?
I
So-
agree with you 100.
Oh, yeah.
You're 100% right. I'm actually very glad that you made that distinction.
Yeah.
Because you're right. You're absolutely. I think too many people have used that metaphor, and they stop to realize that's not a good enough metaphor because what she's doing is even worse.
Yeah.
Yeah, at the end of the day, you're corrupting
You
an
were-
institution.
Exactly. All you were doing was trying to get an opportunity, a human opportunity.
You work.
They
for-
were already at an advantage and still wanted
Like,
to
you don't
cheat.
need to work, lady. You could have studied your whole day.
Yeah,
Like,
they had every advantage in the world, and they still decided.
and some
to
people
cheat.
still, and I'm not, again, I see other points of views. I'm not gonna demonize, whatever.
Sure.
But like it's astonishing to me for people to actually defend, these people in that type of privilege is just, and obviously they work, to be in that position. So I don't
Yeah.
want to say privilege just because they have it, but they're in a privileged
Look,
position.
but your point is valid because I think there's too many people who look at what she did and they say, "Oh, well,
I would have done the
good-
same."
good- I would have done the same thing. That's what good moms do." No, I disagree. A good mom would have made her study.
Yeah.
A good mom would have told her about the opportunities that she has, about the privilege that she has, and that she shouldn't be throwing that away.
Yeah.
That's what a good parent would be
I
doing.
think a human
Not-
being, even if you're not a parent, like I think that's, I don't want to say more moral thing to say, but I think it's the right thing to say. I don't know.
100%. Yeah,
Okay,
I
again,
totally
I could be
agree.
wrong. I know I'm not a parent, so I don't
No,
know.
I'm-
Probably I'd kill for my child. So.
Yeah,
Well,
you do.
I'm older than you. I've been around longer. I'll tell you, you're right.
Yeah.
I'm happy to say
So
that
I don't
you're
want to
right.
say that they're evil because, hey, if I have my child, hey, I'll pay the mafia and
Yeah.
go
I
kill
get it.
somebody. And
Yeah.
I get it, but it's just
Yeah, but to limit.
if there's
Exactly.
if there's anything to be learned, it's that like everybody's going through something. Everybody's, and sometimes you shouldn't judge the action immediately because you should stop and think like what might be that person's motivation.
definitely.
And sometimes people do a bad thing for a positive motivation. And that doesn't mean that person is pure evil because they did something that you see as
yeah.
bad.
But also, she lead her kids to start their life with a cheat.
I agree. I
That's
totally.
very not good example.
I agree with
Thank
you.
you
I
for
think it's-
highlighting that.
I
That's
totally
not
agree.
good mama
I
at all.
totally agree.
Because
Yeah.
it's a chain reaction. Then
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
daughter's gonna do that
Yeah.
even probably worse situations.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You
So-
do anything for your kids, but
Yeah.
it's the right way too.
Thank you
Yeah.
for. I like how your mom balances this out because we're like
She's
these
great.
two guys and we have no like probably moral
She
compass.
is the
and-
queen. She is the queen. We're
Oh, no.
we're
I
just
love
hanging out in her
If-
courtyard.
if when they watch this and they listen to this, they're gonna see me looking at his mom every time I say relationship or emotional stuff or anything. I'm like, am I right on this one?
Yeah,
Like,
she's the wizard in the room when it comes to
I'm the
emotion.
older too, but don't ask me how old. I'm 71, so I'm double your age 3 times. So.
it's all good. Knowledge, you know.
All right, so now you're in America,
No.
right? So now you're in America. You got here. What was it like when you first got here? Did you feel like this is what I expected it to be? Was it better? Was it worse?
Well, the thing is that I lived, very humble parts of Mexico. I'm not gonna say I was a rich kid or anything. It was very humble. And then the last time I was in Mexico, it was with my dad, and it was like even more humbly place where there's no concrete on the floors and things like that, you know.
Yeah.
So coming to LA in a, now that it's just like a two-door, apartment, two bedroom apartment.
Yeah.
To me back then it was like a mansion, dude. Like
Yeah.
you see the wooden floors and the windows, and like it was in Culver City, so it's like
Oh, that's
beautiful,
great, yeah.
beautiful place, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I was very happy. And I was like, there's cereal. I couldn't eat cereal in Mexico. Like this is really cool. Like I loved it. Like,
What was your favorite cereal?
you know. Are they gonna sponsor us, please?
No.
That's a good one. Yeah. No, I loved anything that was chocolatey or
Yeah, me
anything
too.
like with sugar, because again I grew up with a grandma that was the type of grandma that she always cooked soup and things like that.
Yeah.
So we never ate anything like sweet or anything, and she was like the type of person, if I didn't eat it once, she'll serve me twice as much.
Yeah.
You better eat it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
now that thanks to her, I'm like, I grew up healthy. So
Yeah.
thank you, Grandma.
Every time I visit Egypt, they'd be like, "Oh, he's skinny. His dad must not be doing well."
Oh,
And I'm like as if, and I was chubby, and they were still going, "Oh, you're losing weight." It's like, no, I'm not losing weight.
Yeah.
I'm just not gorging myself. Like in Egypt, if you're skinny, it means you're not doing well. It doesn't mean
Yeah.
you're like
the
here.
cultural difference, how that can change your perspective on
Totally.
your body. And
Yeah, chubby people isn't a bad thing. It wasn't a bad thing back then,
No.
anyway. They viewed it as, "Oh, you're doing well."
And
Yeah.
now that you're like, if you do get chubby, and people are like, no, that's not cool now. Like,
Yeah.
You're like, I got chubby for that reason alone. Like,
Well, some people can rock chubby. Some people look great chubby.
Yeah,
But back
there's
then
definitely people.
it was like the thing where it was like they associated weight with socioeconomic
money,
class.
yeah.
It's
Like,
so
what is this,
bizarre.
medieval times?
Yeah.
But don't forget everything delicious. It give you extra weight.
Anything.
That's so true.
Anything.
Yeah.
I love
w-
tacos, but hey,
I was a Cocoa Pebbles fan. That was my cereal.
Cocoa Pebbles.
Cocoa Pebbles. Anything Flintstones was
Ah,
my favorite.
see?
Even my multivitamins and my cereal were all Flintstones specific.
I like to believe that we were that generation of TV, programmed and cereal, like compact food.
You're right.
Like
Yeah, I think I was a generation before you. I was a latchkey kid generation, so we had quick and easy.
Ooh.
TV was like a parent,
yeah, definitely.
and like cereal was something I could pour myself when my parents had already left for work.
You feel like a mature kid.
Yeah, I'm like an adult man in my house. I'm like a baby businessman.
That's really cool. I like that.
So
Yeah.
so now you're in Culver City. You're living in America. Everything is like, kind of like in a movie. almost.
Yeah,
Like,
to context for people who don't know like how Culver City is in LA, it's like a nice, I would say middle class
Sure.
neighborhood. But back in the day, it was a little bit crazier. So just for context, but it was really nice. It was really cool to start seeing other kinds of people.
Yeah.
Like I felt like in a movie again, and I always exaggerate on this when I saw a black person. I was like, in Mexico, it was hard to see any kinds of different races.
Yeah.
So to see an Asian person, a black person, a white person, I was like, oh my
Yeah.
God, this is so cool.
It's so true. I didn't even think about that. You know what? I remember having the exact same epiphany.
Yeah.
Because in Egypt, we mostly saw Egyptians or people from other countries that were
Yeah.
close. Ethiopians, people from Eritrea, Sudan, Lebanon, Libya, Morocco. But the first time I saw a Chinese person, I was like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
Like, I've seen this guy before in a kung fu movie.
Mm-hmm.
Not in a racist way, in an ignorant way.
Yeah,
I
of
just
course.
didn't know.
You think everyone's Jackie Chan because that's all you've seen. Like,
I didn't know. But I remember it was exciting.
Yeah.
I liked it.
Yeah.
I liked meeting people that were from different places. Like the first time I heard someone speak a foreign language, I was excited by it. I thought it was
Wow.
really neat. I thought it was really
Yeah.
cool, you know, to hear people speak different languages and to hear about their cultures. And when I found out Mexicans had pyramids too, I was like, oh, that's so cool. You know, like I
That is
remember
so
thinking
good.
it was a really neat thing.
Yeah,
you know,
man.
so I relate to that excitement.
I love the similarities, but also the differences in cultures. That's something that I think that's unique. Not maybe in LA, but I will say, yeah, maybe in LA because and again, I haven't traveled the world to say that LA is different, but at least I can say that LA that I love is the diversity that we have.
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
100%.
The fact that you guys are Egyptian, you're having a Mexican, it's like that. Where else do you see
In
that?
Koreatown.
In Koreatown, in Koreatown, people. If my highlight this, like,
Well, you know what's funny? If you're into any kind of like social psychology or urban planning, and you look at the most successful styles of cities in the world, they're port cities, cities where immigrants come in and stay. Places like San Francisco and New York and Shanghai, port cities where people from a bunch of different cultures mix ideas together and mix cultures together. And those are the most creative, most successful cities out of any other kind of city in the world.
Yeah.
Ideas are like DNA. The more diverse the ideas are, the healthier the dog. It's like a mutt lives longer, is smarter, is healthier than a pug.
Yeah.
I like that analogy. I
Yeah.
didn't think about it like that. I always like.
It's healthier. It's better for the economy. It's better for the creativity. That's why we do so well in so many international types of competitions, is because of the diversity of people
Yeah.
that you have to compete with and against and learn from and lose to in order to get to the top of that heap. Is you have to compete against a broader diversity of people, and that makes you a better person.
I like that. I think we should apply for that. I was like, dude, you should run for.
That's hilarious. No, but I do. I genuinely believe in that. It makes sense. You know, maybe there's reasons why we can learn from dogs. We can learn,
Yeah.
there's a reason why certain kinds of dogs have breathing problems.
Yeah, it's just-
those are the purebred ones, and the mutts are healthier, smarter, stronger, everything.
Yeah, it's just. I think at the end of the day, we just need to open and broader.
Right.
Sensitiveness or any type of anything that we aspire to do and anything. I think it's very interesting to have other points of views,
I agree.
you know, brought to the
Especially
table,
now,
you know.
especially now, because I think the counter to what we're saying today is kind of the stuff that's happening in America culturally right now.
Yeah.
Everybody's trying to separate from each other. Oh, this guy's this political belief system. This guy's this religion. This guy's this nationality. This guy supports this cause that I don't support. And we're all separating each other.
Yeah.
And it's like that will weaken us.
And I will quote one of my favorite artists, Morrissey, and it says, "If it's not love, then it's the bomb that will bring us together." So I'm just waiting
Yeah.
for that damn bomb to come. And
You know what's so funny? I had a friend, speaking about cultural mashup, right? It's so funny that you mentioned Morrissey. I had a friend who took me to this place in Boyle Heights. It was a whiny queso bar.
oh, I can see where this is going.
It was a wine- and then there were these kids that came in. There was a band called Mexicacy?
Mexi Morsi.
Mexi- Me-
Mexi Morsi.
Mexi Morrissey,
Yeah.
something like that. And it was a Mexican cover band of Morrissey songs. And I saw all these kids that were dressed like members of The Cure. But then when I spoke to them, they had like thick accents still.
Yeah.
Like they were kids that just got to America.
Like, how you doing? Like,
Yeah.
Hey,
And,
my
and
name
one
is,
of my
yeah.
friends goes, it's because in Mexico there's mariachi culture.
Yeah.
And if it's not about lost love, it's not real mariachi.
Yeah.
And when you come to America, the guy who sings about lost love the way mariachi bands do is Morrissey.
He
And
has
I was
that
like, no
deep,
way.
You know, I love the fact that I was gonna bring that point out because most artists that we listen to have deep voices as well. Like one of them is Vicente Fernandez. He has like very full, you know.
Yeah.
And so to hear like a white guy from England to have that, and we have that connection. It's like I think we also love the fact that he's from England because
Yeah.
it's someone that we can connect, and he's from somewhere else.
And he validates
And he
your
validates
artistic style.
like, in a way, yeah, you know, and I think he also understands that, you know, why other different kinds of people like his music. And it's
Yeah.
the whole alienation and type of mentality from
Yeah.
society.
It makes sense. I like connecting on that level. Like, what's what Right, there was a famous acting coach, Stanislavski, a Russian acting coach, who said that which is most personal is most universal. And it's like and it sounds like a paradox. How is something the more personal it gets, the more it makes you feel alone, is actually the more connected it makes you with everybody else. It sounds
no. There's a lot of truth to that. I mean,
Yeah.
I love painting. I consider myself an artist. I know it's like ego thing, but I gotta call it for what it is. And I think I've learned that you gotta. I forgot what I was going with this one, but to be honest, I forgot because of the point that you're.
well. That's okay. That's okay. Well, I was going to ask you something else actually about this. So, since we're talking about this like influence of culture, it's perfect timing to go. You're in LA now. What was the toughest time when you were here?
That's a good one. I think the toughest time, to be honest, it wasn't actually not too long ago.
Oh, really?
I mean, but it's more of a personal type of thing because I have 3 brothers, but one of them
4
passed away.
boys?
We were four boys.
Oh, wow.
And my brother passed away
Oh, man, I'm
due
sorry.
to health and things like that. But
Was he a young guy?
no, he was older. He was second oldest,
Oh, okay.
and then going.
Sorry, man. That's
No,
tough.
it's okay. It's a bit, that's the thing. It's like one of those things that makes you stronger. And
Yeah.
I feel fearless, you know. And I feel like having that
Yeah.
has made me stronger. Has made me more open about different things, different points of views
Sure.
and things like that.
Well,
so
he couldn't have been that old. You're not that old.
I'm 28.
You're 20. How old was your
He was
brother?
29.
That's young.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
so
young.
young.
No, yeah, definitely, definitely. And but I also learned, I went through a breakup and a job and all
Oh,
the
so
radio.
it happened all at the same
Oh,
time?
all at the same time, and
Oh, wow.
and then presidency, and then a big president telling you that you're a rapist and all this stuff.
Oh,
Yeah.
And I'm like, I lost a brother, I lost a girlfriend, because of politics. Again, it's silly, but for politics, and, I
And
lost
then
a
you feel like
job.
your own...
And I was just like the mischief, misfit of society in a way. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that was, to me, when Trump said like these guys are this, I
Yeah.
felt like, wow, thanks for saying that. Like that highlights how I feel right now. Like
Yeah.
that monster, dude. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, it's a thing that I learned in psychology. The strongest human drive is the drive to belong before food and shelter.
Yeah.
Before food and shelter. People would rather starve and be with their tribe than be alone and eat. So it's like people don't understand how damaging it is when the president of a country tells people who live in this country that they are not welcome here.
But at the same time, and a lot of people, to me, I saw this 50-50 reaction with what he said, especially in my community. I can only speak on the behalf of migrant Mexican people.
Yeah.
And I saw the 50-50 analogy of some people felt like, man, he messed up my life. He just made me feel like a monster. And I felt like a victim for a second. But then that anger popped out in me, and I was like, you know what? Screw this guy. I'm going to work twice as hard now.
Yeah.
And I'm going to prove not just him wrong, but his, following
Yeah.
that we're not that.
Wow.
It gave me more of a empowerment.
Good for you.
And so I think if we can stop, at least for 1 second, understand that we probably,
Yeah.
institutions probably do mess with us, and there is some truth to that, feeling like a victim.
Yeah.
But if we shrug that and get angry about it
Yeah.
and do something about it instead of just, because of social media, it's easy for us to just get some dopamine and,
Yeah.
oh, like my stuff, I
Yeah.
hate Trump, and it's easy, but it's hard to take the action to just better yourself and
Yeah.
become healthier, become more loving.
Yeah,
And,
I think you're right.
it's
I
harder.
think that's why poop is the greatest fertilizer.
Yeah.
It's the silver lining of shitty things,
Oh my God.
right? Is that shit is a great place to grow flowers.
Oh,
You know?
Can you believe it? Yeah.
It really is.
He has really good analogies.
Well, I'm a comedian,
Yeah.
and I'm this lady's son, and
Yeah,
she
yeah.
taught me.
But hey, listen,
That's
he
a
don't
great
just
attitude.
very good. It doesn't mean just Mexican. It's a
Yeah.
Muslim, brown people,
of course.
Middle East people,
Women.
women.
I just don't want to.
Handicapped people.
Handicapped people
Yeah.
who make fun of the guy on a TV. I mean, if I have little kids
He's really kind to
now-
dictators and
definitely.
racists,
Yeah.
though. He's
Definitely.
really
I
kind to
just
them.
don't want to speak on the behalf of someone who might feel not
But listen,
connected like I do.
if I have a kid 5 years or 6 years old, I cannot let them watch the president of United States, listen to him, because he say nasty stuff, and
Yeah.
the kids listen to our president. That's very bad.
You're 100% right. It's not
Very
even about.
bad.
It's not even about politics.
It's not.
It's not
We're
even.
all
it's about,
American.
It's about respect and decency.
Yes.
And actually governing the entire country.
But-
Yeah.
To have a president who says I'm here to govern 50% of the country, or I'm only governing people who like me, is insane.
But I also understand. I understood a lot of this. Like I opened, again, I had to stop having my own biases and prejudices against people who didn't agree with me.
Sure.
And one thing I've learned also.
It's not easy to do.
Yeah,
It's a hard
it
thing.
sucks.
Mm-hmm.
It sucks
Yeah.
because you gotta, think about so much stuff, and when you think, you get depressed and things like that
Sure.
sometimes. But one thing I've learned that things are very complex, and so I can't also I do dislike the guy. I hate his ideas, but I can't demonize someone who may agree with him in
100%.
certain aspects.
I totally agree with you.
I met
totally
so many
agree with
people,
you.
and
There's like, are there bad people who support Trump? Yes. I think actually there was a comic who said this really, really well. I think it was Alonzo Bowden, and he said, "Not every Trump supporter is a racist, but every racist is a Trump supporter." Which I think is a great. I think is a great way. That is a
my
very
God.
balanced.
Yeah.
That's a pretty accurate statement. Like racists love him because he does do racist things. But are there people who support Trump that are not racist? There was a while where I couldn't agree to that statement.
yeah.
There was a while where I thought everybody that supported Trump was a racist. I don't think that anymore.
Yeah.
But it is upsetting that they still support him. And I think for some of those people, they don't support him because he's a racist. They support him because they felt like they didn't have another choice.
yeah, I mean, again, it's the story of being alienated from where you're from and whatnot. So I also understand not everyone has the greatest education to say, you know what, maybe those Mexicans are not rapists. you know?
Sure.
So I get it. People come from rough parts of the world, but in a way, I'm also tired of always understanding.
Of
you know?
course,
Like,
yeah.
I'm sick and tired of I'm
Of
not gonna do
course.
your homework. You need to get onto
Yeah,
it.
it is. It's exhausting. But speaking of feeling alienated, so you're in your worst time now. You leave your job. Is the reason why you left your job is to pursue art?
To be honest, I kept doing art on the low,
Yeah.
but obviously paycheck, paying bills and things.
I know
like
what that's like.
You
Yeah, being an
have to.
artist is a very hard job. To do. I mean, they make you suffer if you're an artist in America.
Yeah,
Like, there's
so-
no health insurance. There's none of that.
You're this lazy person also. Like,
Yeah,
just
and then
because
when
you do something that you like.
Yeah, and then when you do your day job, it takes away from your art. So you were at a point where you were ready to leave and focus on your art, and then your girlfriend left.
Yeah, I mean, again, I don't. She's a great person.
Sure.
She was going through some stuff. I think I was going through some stuff. I don't want to demonize her. I think she's a great person.
Sure.
But I think we were just too young.
Sure.
But it didn't help the situation.
Yeah.
So
Were you
I'm
guys together a long time?
4.5 years. or
Oh
something.
wow.
Oh, that's
So
long.
wow, you probably felt so alone.
In a way, yeah.
So I mean, because sometimes what you forget about work is when you go into work, it becomes a little bit of your tribe. A
Yeah,
little bit.
definitely.
People that you see every day.
Definitely.
You lose that, and then here's a woman that was with you for 4.5 years. You'll lose that, and now here's the country that you've been living in, and they're starting to talk about your culture.
And then I lose friends because, again, politics.
Wow.
And it's
Yeah.
just like, guys, like, I'm the immigrant here, guys. Like, what the
Right.
hell? Like,
Yeah.
just because I say maybe he has a point or maybe she has a point, people hate you or
Yeah.
discriminate you when they don't even know the type of guy that I am.
Yeah.
So also being an immigrant puts me now in a better position because we're in a very identity politics type of place, and also whether you're right or left, everyone is in that plane.
Yeah.
And so some people may see me as an ally because I'm a Mexican and I'm an immigrant, but if I open my mouth and say that let's not demonize people, then you're
Yeah.
just as equal as the other
But
people.
people want to put you in one bucket or another bucket.
Exactly.
Instead of saying,
But
hey, I'm just
listen,
saying, let's talk
it's
to each
not
other.
all about just Mexican, American. Everybody immigrant.
No, of
Everybody's
course.
an-
of
you're
course.
right.
Everybody
Again,
immigrant.
yeah.
Even white people.
They're
Look
immigrants
for white
too.
people. Who's your grandfather?
Actually,
Yeah.
I think Mexicans are less immigrants than Americans are in America.
Yeah.
I mean, it must be weird. We were talking about this about coffee. I said, if I'm an Egyptian immigrant and I'm in a country that's telling me, hey, I don't want you here, but the name of the street was like King Tut Boulevard,
Yeah.
or California, San Diego, Santa Monica. They're all Spanish names.
Yes.
This was Mexico.
Yeah.
I will say for my art teacher back in the day, you call him Tutankhamun.
Tutankhamun. My apologies.
Not King Tut.
Tutankhamun. Yeah, no, you're right.
He would kill us for that.
So, see, you've got such a great attitude, man, and I love that. You've got such a great attitude. You've got so much wisdom for a guy that's only 28.
Oh,
I'm
dude, I
really
appreciate
impressed.
that, man.
So, what about you go through this tough period? What about the best time in
The
in
best
America?
time, I think now is my best time.
I love you.
Good
High
for
five.
you.
Look,
And
listen,
it's gonna be good.
I love
time.
hearing that.
Yes.
I love hearing that.
Yeah.
Especially because it feels like I love your art. I saw a couple of pieces. I
thank
think
you,
you're a
man.
really talented guy. So was your happiness associated with your art?
I think I will be as cliche as the most cliche guy ever, but I think it was the suffering that made me even more attracted to my artwork. Made me want to do stuff when 2016 was going on. We spoke about this. I started doing paintings of Bernie Sanders because I felt connected towards his image and his message.
Yeah.
And so I started painting him, and thanks to that, I got into some shows. So
Some art shows. Wow.
So it was really cool, and I understand that.
What made them pick your art for the show? What was it about your?
Again, obviously
Bernie Sanders.
the first answer would be politics,
Mm.
but the other one was like I don't think I'm a bad artist. I think it
No,
was
you're
good art.
good. Yeah, yeah, of course.
Because at the end of the day, like I don't want to say that it takes hard work to do anything. Like do this podcast, have this, mics work perfectly, have this light, nice.
Sure.
It takes work.
You got to care. You got to put some
yeah.
work into
So
it.
I
Sure.
think if you just care for yourself and what you do and how you speak, how do you portray yourself, especially in America, there's chances. I still believe in the American dream, regardless of
Yeah,
how
Same.
bad.
You're right.
100%.
You know?
Same. Being critical of something doesn't mean you don't believe in it.
Yeah.
It just means you want it to work better.
If anything, you
Nothing
love
wrong
it.
with
You
that.
love it more.
Exactly.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
And listen, if you go through hard time, that's great. That's
Yeah.
make you
Makes you
strong, like
stronger.
you
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
You know, I was 16 years old and I take care of my sister. She passed away, and from this
Wow.
moment, I felt I'm a strong woman,
Oh.
and I carry that until this moment. I'm strong, and
Yeah.
if you're going through loss now, that's mean you're gonna be all right.
Yeah.
You're
And
right.
and also, I went through a loss as well not too long ago. My uncle. I got into health and boxing and things like that because also
wow.
see my brother passing from health problems and seeing my uncle who got diabetes and all this stuff passing away not too long ago, and they both died right in front of me. So I was like,
Oh,
Jesus
wow.
Christ! But at the same time, I've learned that you gotta take care of yourself.
Yes.
That's so.
gotta take care
See,
of
here,
yourself.
I'll tell you something that I think is so cool about you that's unique is that a long time ago, I worked for. I was a consultant for this ad agency, and we talked about toys like Hot Wheels. Hot Wheels became less popular because kids weren't helping their dads fix engines anymore.
Yeah.
Japanese cars weren't like American cars, so Hot Wheels became less popular. And then they talked about like this helicopter moms and this idea of there's no winners and losers. And then when they started talking about no winners and losers, it said that philosophy is bad for boys.
Yeah.
Boys need winning and losing. Girls could watch someone fail and be like, I'm not going to do that because they're smarter than we are. Boys actually have to fail.
Well, from what I've seen, and I like to say I could be wrong, is that men, we could either be really stupid or really smart. That's why you got this,
Yeah. But it
women,
seems like you have this empathetic nature in you where you can learn by what you have so much wisdom for a guy that's 28 and so much of his gain from watching other people.
well, I've learned to because people say, experiences make you grow. I'm like, no, I'd rather see that guy fail and learn from that. I don't want to be down in a ditch and then learn from a ditch. I'd rather study people speaking in public places and, their points of views and
Yeah,
things like that.
sure.
And I think also being able to paint in the streets and getting so much feedback from people has, I think, given me so much in my armory that I understand now where people come from. And no one's evil. No
Yeah.
one's evil. It's just that they're either misguided or sometimes it's emotional,
One of my favorite quotes is a friend of mine. I don't remember who said this, but he said, all of us have the devil and an angel inside us. Just some of us have it in different percentages.
That's a man.
But
Very.
we all have both
Hooray
of
to
those
that.
elements in us. We all have the potential to be good people or to be bad people. And it doesn't mean that that's what we are. You know, you can change what you do. You can change how you behave. You could listen. You know, listening to other people, I think, is a really valuable tool. And I think right now we're doing a worse job of listening than we've ever done as a community. You know, in this country. And I hope that gets better. Like even to my friends that listen to the podcast that are Republicans, they get mad every time I make fun of Trump. But they know that I'm not talking about them.
Yeah.
And that I respect them. And when they speak to me about, I do listen. And it's not easy. It's like, not easy to listen.
This is for my geeks out there who's listening. Think about it like this, guys. I'm talking to the super young guys. Video games. Mm-hmm. Back in the day, we had fanboys. We had this console, Sony PlayStation.
Yeah, I remember that.
We had the Xbox, Microsoft.
Yeah.
Oh my God, the PlayStation is better than the Xbox. The Xbox is blah, blah, blah,
Yeah,
blah. I'm like, at the end of the day, you don't win. Guess who wins? The companies.
Exactly. You're so right, dude. It's so easy to tribalize us, and that's how companies make money.
Yeah.
Because like, listen, if there was no difference between a Toyota and a Mercedes, why would I pay so much more money for a Mercedes?
Yeah.
The only reason why I pay more money for a Mercedes is because a Mercedes has made me think that I'm better than the guy who drives the Toyota.
Which you are, I'm sorry.
Well, you are. But if we removed all that, it would be we wouldn't make much money.
Yeah.
They wouldn't be able to convince us to pay so much more money for things.
At the end of the day, I think for whatever it's worth, I think, and if we can take something from here, is that diversity is awesome, and I love the fact that
That's a T-shirt.
If everyone had a Toyota or a Mercedes, how boring would that be?
I totally agree.
You
I
know,
totally
like-
agree. But it'd be great if people could have those things without thinking less of people who don't.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, I think if we
I
had
like
a
that.
healthier relationship with material objects, I think that would be better. We gorge ourselves
Yeah.
on materialism instead of eating it in a healthy way.
Hey,
But that's what it is. I mean, the internet right now, the internet's only 15 years old. We keep forgetting that because it's such a huge part of our lives. Google just had that the little art graphic with the balloons the other day. It's only 15 years old. Think about that. Think about fire. When we invented fire, 15 years later, we were still catching ourselves on fire by accident. You know what I mean?
They didn't have Google,
we didn't know how to sear ahi yet. We were like making mistakes with fire. We were burning down our own houses on accident. And that's what the internet is now. We're still figuring it out. We're still figuring out how to use it. Right? And of course, we used it in a damaging way first to tribalize each other and hate each other and say mean things to each other. Hopefully, we'll figure out how to use it so we can get it to the point where we're eating great food with it.
I mean, the fact that we still use like gas, conventional oil, and things like that is like, I wish I was already in Star Trek. I don't want to be here.
Well, dude, listen, thank you so much for being a guest. This hour flew by.
I know.
You were
it's really good.
A great guest. I'm really proud of you, man. Like you are a guy that came here like from a Coyote, and now you're making art.
Thank you. Man.
Art that says something like that. That's not easy. It's not easy to make art that's from your heart. That where you're saying difficult things in a style. Like I think of art like a Trojan horse. Like people look at it as a gift, and sometimes there's little soldiers of influence inside.
I mean, that's comedy as well.
100%. It's bridge building. And it's not about separating. So I have a ton of respect for you for doing that. For
Likewise.
Thank you, man. And immigrating is hard enough, but to immigrate and also pick one of the most difficult things to do is to live as an artist. I have a ton of respect for you for that. And you're great, dude. I'd love to come to one of your shows.
Thank you so much.
So how about if people want to find your artwork because you've got some really cool time-lapse stuff on your social media too.
Shameless plug now.
Shameless plug.
You guys can find me on Instagram, Facebook, all that social media stuff at Roughly Sketch. That's roughly, just, you can type that roughly. And sketch without the E. Because I'm trying to be edgy right here.
Okay, ROUGHLY SKTCH.
Exactly. Wow, you're
Roughly
awesome.
Sketch.
Roughly Sketch.
On all social media.
Social media, and also I have a podcast.
What's your podcast called?
It's Roughly Sketch Radio.
Roughly Sketch Radio.
Where I mumble, I talk about nonsense. Again, it's not for everyone. It's for that special person,
Yeah.
Right on. Well, dude, thank you so much for being a guest on the podcast. We really loved having you here. And Mom.
I'm so proud of you. Don't you ever be down or
Thank
you
you.
feel I'm a Mexican. You're great for your country. This is America for everyone. You're sitting to Egyptian women, and we all immigrant.
Yes.
And we love this country, and we all American. Forget about anything else.
Before I go, I like the fact that she's like, you're not a Mexican. And that's something that I've been fighting with myself, that with my people as well. Like when I say I'm not Mexican, they're like, "What the hell? You're self-hating, blah blah." I'm like, "No, I'm a human being, dude. Like I don't."
Yeah, that's
I-
what
I'm
Yeah.
just,
Yeah.
I'm just a human being.
Socrates said.
we
He said,
are.
"I'm neither a Greek or an Athenian. I'm a citizen of the world."
Yes.
And I think if we all thought that way, it'd be a better planet.
Yeah.
Right? Like, but I mean, hell, man. If I could adopt another culture, it would be Mexican. I feel like
Thank you so
I'm part Mexican because of all my friends that I grew up with. They adopted me. That was one of my biggest jokes on stage. It was like I went on the playground and people didn't know what to do with me. I had brown people hair, I had brown people skin, black people hair. They're like, "What do we do?" And Mexicans were like, "You got pyramids, we got pyramids. Come on." So I feel like an adopted Mexican,
Wow.
because of where I grew up and to quite honestly, the culture I felt closest to.
Yeah,
A lot
full
of
of love.
a lot of my relatives.
Family-oriented.
Like a lot of my cousins are half Mexican, half Egyptian.
Yes.
And a lot of my cousins married people that were some kind of Latin culture because there were so many similarities between the family culture and all that sort of stuff. So I'm a huge fan of the Mexican culture and I'm a huge fan of Mexican people. And that's why we're here.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
2 weeks ago, I went birthday for Mexican guy work with me, and with like 5 or 6 different nationality. But let me tell you, the love I find with the family, unbelievable. And you learn a lot about the culture and love and kind. I was so happy I went.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
But we also have like our fights and families. We
course.
love
Of
and
course,
hate
of
each other.
course.
Probably
We have
90%
to be
hate.
normal.
Yeah.
We have to be normal.
Yeah.
We're
But
not faking.
speaking of loving things, Mom, have you been to Boston before? Is this
No,
our first time?
this is first
First time. We're coming for you, Boston. Thank you guys so much for listening to the podcast. Thank you for the support and the amazing emails and letters. You guys really make our days, our weeks. We're just really encouraged by you guys. Please keep telling your friends about it. Please listen and review. If you're looking for live comedy, you can look me up at tamerkattan.com. That's TamerKattan.com. The website's getting updated. You'll be able to connect to the podcast through the website soon. We've got merch and a lot of new stuff coming up for the podcast. So thank you. Mom, do you want to say bye to everybody?
Yeah, thank you, everybody. I'm so proud of you guys today, and happy Easter coming soon, and make everybody happy.
Yeah, and for,
Color your eggs.
and for you atheists out there, happy Thursday.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you.
Thanks a lot, you guys. We'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.